Welcome everyone, I'm Isiah Associate with Red Hawk Radio, and this is your Music Minute. Today we're talking about the Weeknd's new album, Hurry Up Tomorrow. The general consensus between the community that has listened to this album would say that Wake Me Up would be probably the best song on this album, along with Timeless and a few other tracks, including Cry For Me. On albumoftheyear.org, Wake Me Up was a 100 out of 100, Cry For Me was 96 out of 100, Sao Paulo, 74 out of 100, Baptized in Fear got a 83 out of 100, Open Hearts got a 100 out of 100, Reflection Laughing got a 70 out of 100. Enjoy the Show, which is arguably the worst song on the album, got a 40 out of 100. Given Up on Me got a 62 out of 100. I Can't Wait to Get There got a 65 out of 100. Timeless got a 75 out of 100 despite its popularity. Niagara Falls got a 71 out of 100. Take Me Back to LA got a 73 out of 100. Big Sleep got a 58 out of 100. Give Me Mercy got an 87 out of 100. Drive got a 96 out of 100. The Abyss got a 53 out of 100. Red Terror got an 86 out of 100. Without a Warning got another 45 out of 100. Hurry Up Tomorrow got an 88 out of 100. My personal thoughts on the album, I thought it was very good, and I thought Cry For Me by The Weeknd was probably his best song, along with Timeless on the album. Cry For Me had a really good shock value, as I would say that Brazilian funk was not common on a Weeknd album, let alone any album at this time of hip-hop. I will say that it was a really nice insight into what The Weeknd and Mike Dean could actually accomplish, as I thought it was a really good album overall, and just that song in general, it fit the theme of the album really well. My personal least favorite on the album was Sao Paulo, as I thought that it didn't really fit the vibe of the album, and I thought the production and mixing could have been done a better job, but I do think that it was a good track, just not the best for this type of album, though I will say it did fit into the genre of the album. Brazilian funk definitely had a major inspiration between the two tracks, Cry For Me and Sao Paulo, though I will say having a Brazilian funk track back to back was a good choice because it kind of had you in the mood already from Cry For Me being Brazilian funk. Overall, I don't have many issues with Sao Paulo. I thought it was a pretty okay track. Throughout the tracks, they had many features, including Justice, Florence and the Machine, Anita, Travis Scott, Future, Playboi Carti on Timeless, Giorgio Moroder, and on The Abyss, Lana Del Rey. Wake Me Up featuring Justice as the first track on the album I thought was a really good opener. I thought it was a really good track overall, and I thought Justice as the ad-libs of the song was a really good choice. I thought the song overall was extremely personal. It needs to get a little more recognition than it did. Overall, I'd say it's top 10 favorite songs on the album. As I said before, Cry For Me was by far my favorite track on the album. It had a lot of shock factor, and I thought that it being the second one on the album was definitely surprising. It has by far the most replay value. I've listened to it in the car many times. The song overall is talking about a past relationship, and I thought that it was giving me a lot of insight into how he was dealing with his problems. Overall, I'd say it's the best track on the album, and I'd say the producers did a really good job. Sao Paulo featuring Anita was not my favorite on the track. It being right after Cry For Me was honestly the best decision they could have made. I thought Anita did a really good job on the song, though I feel like The Weeknd could have done a little bit of a better job on his production mixing and singing. I feel like his voice was just a little bit out of place on the song, and it didn't make it into my playlist, but if it did play, I wouldn't skip it. Overall, the song is talking about lust and how you deal with it. I'd say it's about a 5 out of 10. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Baptized in Fear is the 6th track on the album, and honestly it's pretty good, and it gives me a lot of insight into his personal struggles in life. He talks about how the world will see him if he messes up, and I do appreciate that he was being transparent and vulnerable with the world when he made that song. The song got an 83 on albumsoftheyear.com, and I do believe that it deserves that rating. The song had a really nice beat, and I do agree that it would make it on my playlist. The first line of the track is, "I fell asleep in the tub. I was there with paralysis." Him being vulnerable is really respectable, especially with the type of fan base that he has. Overall, I'd say it's a really good track. Open Hearts is the 7th track on the album, and I'd say it is probably one of the best, top 5 for sure. In the beginning of the song, he talks about how money doesn't buy happiness, and I think that's a really good message to send. I think this album overall was really just talking about how he's changing, and he doesn't really like the lifestyle that he has right now. Sure, he likes the money, sure, he likes the comfortability, but I believe that there's a deeper message, and I think that message is overwhelmingly positive. Overall, this was a really good track and a really nice listen. Next we have Reflections Laughing with Travis Scott and Florence and the Machine. This is the 9th installment of the album, and I do believe that this is a really good track, though it could have been better. Travis Scott did a really good job with his very, very mesmerizing vocals, and I thought that Florence and the Machine did a very good job as well. Overall, the chorus did a really, really nice job in the background, and I thought that it really made for a good listen. This did feel like more of a feature track rather than a Weeknd track, but I'm not really going to complain. I thought it was a really nice listen overall. The 10th song on the album, Enjoy the Show featuring Future, was the critically acclaimed worst song on the entire album. Me personally, I don't think it was that bad, though I will say Future could have done a little bit of a better job on his singing and mixing. Don't get me wrong, I really like Future, but I feel like he could have done a better job. The Weeknd, however, did a really nice job on this, and I thought his vocals did help sell the song a little better. I do appreciate that this was in the middle of the album rather than the beginning or the end, as this is a skip for most people, though I will say if it did come up, I would not skip it. For the 12th installment in the album, I Can't Wait to Get There took the hearts of many listeners. He talks about his struggles and how the media paints him to be someone he isn't. This ties into the fact that he stated he'd be making music under a different alias from now on, leaving The Weeknd behind for good. He wants to be true to himself in his future music, and overall I think this is a really nice listen. For the 13th track on the album, we have Timeless featuring Playboi Carti. The song included Carti switching his voice between high and low pitches throughout the entire song, and I'd say this song is really important as it's a prelude to his new album, I Am Music. This is by far one of my favorite songs in this entire album, and I definitely say it takes a spot in my top 3. The next installment on the album, we have Niagara Falls by The Weeknd. This song was extremely personal as it talked about his struggles inside of the industry. This song is extremely personal as it talked about how the industry has changed him over time. Throughout the song, he reminisces about his life before entering the music industry, and I personally believe that it sends a really positive message. He talks about how it's shifted his views on love and personal life. Overall though, I'd say this was a really nice listen, and I give it about a 9 out of 10. As final thoughts, I believe this is one of The Weeknd's best, if not his best album so far. It had some really amazing songs and no misses in my personal opinion. As a final rating, I give it an 8 out of 10. If you have any requests, please let me know via email. The music you hear is Agony, out on my Instagram at ProdBySaucy. And with that, I'm Isiah with Red Hawk Radio, and this was your Music Minute.